Hey everybody, welcome to episode 26 of Around the Verse. I am Sandy Gardner.
I'm Travis Day.
Not Ben Lesnick. He is unfortunately stuck on a plane.
And they didn't have French toast either.
Which plane has French toast?
This is a new Virgin
Private
or something.
jet?
Yeah.
Back from the holiday break, most of us are.
Yeah, no, it was refreshing, I think. Did you have a good time?
I did have a good time. I was here.
Really?
I got some sleep.
Ah.
Do I look like I've had sleep?
You look well rested.
Oh, thank you. What about you? Where were you?
I was
San
in Northern California, yeah, but I got sick.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel better now, though.
Yeah, well, that's all right. We released 1.0.
We did. Indeed, 1.0, we got it right out before the holiday break, right into the Christmas party. We had a lot of engineers, too, that worked through the break, and so that was very appreciated. We had Jeff Parker, Keegan Standifer, Jeremy Masker, Brian Mazza, Tom Sawyer, all those guys really killed it over the break to try and increase stability for you guys, so much appreciated to them.
Yeah, those poor guys, they get the end of this short end of the stick, don't they?
Yeah, no, it's always like that with DevOps too, because they're kind of like the last in line to manage the release.
New Mustang commercial.
Yeah, that was cool. I dug that. Has that Howard Hughes vibe to it.
New website launched.
Yeah, no, it's looking really cool. I enjoy the new look with the moving pictures.
Moving pictures?
I think they're called videos.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Good job. You're a producer, isn't it? Yeah.
As a reason, I'm not a film producer.
Yeah, right. What was I going to say? So but it's just started. We have a lot more coming online with the new website.
No, I think the things that you guys have planned coming down the road on the marketing side is like super exciting. I'm really looking forward to that coming to fruition.
And a new section for the community too, organizations and stuff. Yep. New Imagine trailer.
Yes, no, that thing was looking great. I think it was Simon Penna was the name of the fan that originally did it. It was a great piece, and so I think I'm really happy with what we were able to do with it. And I think the community so far has really enjoyed it.
Where's my new gameplay footage, by the way, to gussy it up a
bit? It's on the way from QA.
Right, and
Special
a new 1.0 trailer.
And the new 1.0 trailer as well. Ooh, you heard it here first.
New merchandise pre-orders. I feel like I've said new like 5 times. Okay,
right.
So we have Dog Tag, Second Fleet. We have a new Squadron 42 t-shirt, because a lot of people missed out on the first round.
Okay.
And on the back it says BDSSE.
Oh, cool. So it's a new, you know what I have? Somebody was wearing that upstairs. Okay, I have seen this. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Yeah. And the last one is the new Mustang mouse pad.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember that one.
Right?
Yeah, by Cornington Chabot.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so the 2015 event list is going to go up on the website. And do you know what that is?
I do know what this is. It's very exciting, because I think one of the complaints that we've gotten a lot in the past is that people, if they have to travel or it's too short a notice and they want to maybe go to the event, that if it's being at PAX, they want to go to PAX too. So it's good, I think, to get this out to the community earlier so everybody can make their plans around it. And it's always a lot of, I really enjoy going to those events, because my favorite thing is interacting with all the people.
Yeah, it's fun. BAFTA is the first event on January 20th. You've got your ticket?
I got my ticket.
I got mine too. And the next one is the PU Town Hall on January 23rd, which we're just dealing with all the details now. Are you on that thread?
Maybe. I haven't checked my email since about 9:30 this morning.
You see? And if he hasn't checked it since 9:30 this morning, he probably has about 200 emails.
That's true.
So after, when you catch up on the PU Town Hall, then Chris is giving a talk at DICE. And then we're working on the PAX East event.
Yep. PAX East, the second coming to PAX East is a big good one.
Yep. And the closing South by Southwest party, which will be fun. And now it's time for news from around the verse. One module at a time. Arena Commander. Existing ship damage and missile trails have improved visual effects.
Yes, so this is something we've been working on, where we added a whole bunch of new missiles to the game, and now we want to make all their visual effects very distinct from one another, so you can easily recognize a missile at a distance and it has good readability. The other one is expanding the new damage effects library so that we have new effects and new combinatorial effects, fire, smoke, sparks, electricity all together on the ship. So that's something we've been putting a lot of investment into. It should be very cool.
Part 2 of Arena Commander. We're stabilizing the matchmaking system and working on multiplayer.
Yeah, so I think one of the things coming out of the 1.0 release, obviously, was that there were some matchmaking issues. We're doing a lot of different things like resetting servers on a regular cycle to keep them from getting in bad states. So for our first patch for Arena Commander for the year, we're focused on really improving the stability and getting it back to the state it was in before. So it's easily playable.
Very cool. Squadron 42, polish of ship landing has continued.
Yeah, this is a fun one, kind of to watch evolve over time, but it's basically both the automated and non-automated versions of how you come into a landing pad and land your ship. And then the best part is watching some of the designers who are more focused on their flow graph version. And so they end up coming in at really weird angles and banging down on the landing pad. It's kind of a cool system.
Nice. Proof of concept conversation system is ongoing.
Yeah, so this is one of those things that's always been from the beginning super important to Chris. And I mean, we've been kind of talking about and working on is having the ability to have like natural conversations with people. And it's really starting to come to fruition and evolve. I always like the idea that like in games usually you talk to somebody and you're like, hey, how's it going? And then you hit B to like exit the conversation. But now if you walk away, they'll be like, oh, I guess I'm not interesting to you. But you're not actually locked into some kind of dialogue. It's kind of a more organic system. It's going to be cool.
It's like how I go around the office.
Ask a question is one.
Yeah. Persistent universe. Astra Armada logo has been updated.
Yeah, and actually, you know, another thing that's important to Chris, important to the game, is the fictionalization of everything. So all of our companies get little fiction and lore pieces, and they all have a place in the universe. And I think the important thing of any brand is a good logo.
Mission manager is being skinned.
Yeah, so the mission manager is essentially the idea of how you put together these missions, right? So a designer sits down and they want to put together an encounter where you are defending a freelancer from these attacking pirates, and it's a system for them to rapidly create missions, and then eventually there will be a public-facing version of this, which will be the job board of how you accept missions, and kind of mix the nuts and bolts of the PU.
I like it. French font issues have been fixed.
Yeah, so anybody who's ever done localization on a game knows that different fonts all have different character sets that they do and don't support. So maybe you need an umlauted whatever or an accented this, and we have those now.
Odessa and Mariana landing zones have continued progress in the white box stage.
Yeah, and the white box stage for these is super important. It's just laying out kind of general sizes, where the landing pad's going to be, where the store is going to be. And it's very much like we do for ships too. So just kind of mapping everything out, and it's a good place to start.
Relay system concept has continued work.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that Chris has always talked about, and is kind of fun about the game, right, is the idea that we have communication doesn't happen instantaneously, and so you have like little drones going from place to place to place. So having the relay system will be a very fun and unique kind of thing about our game. I think it'll be fun.
As soon as I said relay system, I thought of like somebody passing a
like
baton.
A baton?
Yeah, I know, and I was like,
it's
yeah, it's not that. And then you go, yeah, and we just have this drone passing a message.
Yeah, yeah, it totally is. Yeah, absolutely.
And we're back to the baton. Ships. Hornet ejection seat has been fixed.
Yeah, so every time we, there's two things on ships that we always fix and then they get broken again. It's the ejection seats and the landing gears always being deployed. So fixes for both of those are coming.
Multiple Vandal ships have entered the gray boxing phase.
Yeah, the Vandals actually have a bevy of ships, obviously, because you have to make a whole fleet of military vehicles for them. And some of the ones that have been done, and I don't know if we're supposed to tell the names of all of them because it's kind of Squadron 42-ish, but they look very cool, very Vandal, and I think if you get to see them, you'll very much enjoy seeing them.
I thought you were going to announce the names then. I was like, no,
don't do it.
Starfarer exterior and interior continue in the concept phase.
Yeah, and the Starfarer is a ship I think that's been super popular with the community so far. I think there's a lot of people out there that really enjoy being like the concept of being the big long-haul trucker guy with his Mack truck who just cruises the universe. And I think the Starfarer will fill that role, and I think people will be really excited to see what the UK team's worked on.
People love the Starfarer.
Oh, no, they do. And it's a Starfarer and then the whole sea. I think it's that idea of like you're wearing the wife beater and the trucker hat, and you're like,
speaking of the Hull Sea, where is my Hull Sea, by the way?
We're working on that.
Yeah.
It's actually in the concept phase right now.
I harass Travis quite often for these things.
But it's important.
Yeah.
It helps me stay on point.
FPS module, new weapon selection method is being used.
Yeah, so obviously different FPS games all do weapon selection differently. You roll up on the mouse wheel, or do you quick swap, and a lot of it's handled with options, but we have some cool new methods we think that people will enjoy for in fiction, so you actually get it up on your HUD and you see the weapons in your loadout, and it should be cool. We think people will like it. Chris digs it so far.
First pass on the cover pieces for the battle arena has been completed.
Yeah, and so this is something that you guys are going to see more of probably around the PAX East timeframe, when we're showing a little bit more of the FPS module, but it's something you haven't seen yet, but it's more of a best described as a recreational FPS. So nobody dies. It's more for teamwork and sport, and it's in an orbital space station, which is very, very cool. It's some beautiful shots. So it should be a fun environment to play in.
Okay. can't really get my head around first-person shooter and nobody dies. But
well, yeah, it's a friendly game of tag with guns.
Okay. A speed scale for fast crawling has been added.
Yeah, so this is basically, well, we've been working a lot on the prone system, so you can get down, and the idea of like crawling through Jeffrey's tubes, like a Star Trek fan, you get into the inner workings of the ship. And this, basically, that crawling, all of that has to have the proper metrics for moving, the movement speed, the heights, and everything else has been worked on between. There's actually a good collaboration between the guys at Foundry 42 and the guys at Ilphonic. I keep wanting to call them redacted.
No,
it's just like,
we're past that.
We're past that, but I get so used to it.
Right, so how low can you say bug smashers?
Bug smashers.
There we go. Okay, ready? Let's go over to Mark for this week's episode of
Bug Smashers.
Bug Smashers! Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new year of Bug Smashers, where everything's the same, but different, but same, but different, but same. If we're different, I don't remember. But we got bugs, and we're here to show you how we fix them. All right, today's bug has to do with the shield absorption and missiles. So in the new 1.0 release, we have some new behaviors for the shields that we introduced, where they could absorb a portion of the damage rather than all the damage. You could absorb, for example, in this factor, 50%. So when you get physical damage, you only absorb 50% of the damage. So if 200 damage comes in, you only try to absorb 100 for physical. Now that was fine and dandy for projectiles where they're direct, and when they hit, they'll just do that damage. But for missiles, they explode and do radius damage. So in this case, it will only absorb 50% of the shields rather than, or 50% of the damage rather than 100. So what will happen is the missile will explode, and the damage will leak through the shield and then go into the ship itself. So we can see that right now. If I fire a missile, boom! As you can see here, we actually absorbed 100 damage, but the total damage we were getting was 200. Now the shield itself could absorb a lot more damage, but it was only able to get 100 because of this fancy XML setting. Now, we do want some of the shields to, only absorb so much of the damage and allow it to pass through, but for, explosive damage, we want it to try to absorb everything. So, what we're going to do is introduce the concept of splash damage, which is our explosion radius damage. So we're going to introduce a new factor specifically for splash, and what we'll do is we will try to read in splash damage. Good old typing. So what did I call this thing? Splash factor. So if we have, we'll try to read in the splash damage. If we didn't read any splash damage, then we will set it to the normal absorb factor. So what I'm doing here is, in our XML, if we described, let me copy this guy, read only. So what do I call that thing? Splash. So if we have a splash factor, we'll call this actually shield splash. So if I have this value in here, it will read this value, but if I'm missing it, what this code will do is just automatically assume that we want the absorb factor. So that way, by default, the shields will act the way they are now until a designer goes in there and edits it. So we do want this, at least for this test, so I'm going to make sure we have the splash damage take 100%. and normal projectile damage will do 50%. So let's rename this guy. Okay, splash, splash, splash. Then we'll go into our lovely shield code. There we go. So then we'll be like, all right, is this splash damage? If it is splash damage, we will use the splash factor rather than normal damage factor. All right, now we'll save this guy.
Give me what you got.
So our maximum shield hit points is 187. So the shield should absorb 187 damage and return with 13 damage onto the ship itself. And let's see what it does. Fire away. All right. There we go. We correctly absorbed 187 damage out of the 200 as defined in the script. The shield only has 187 hit points. It will absorb all of the splash damage it gets. So that means when this returns, the rest of the ship will just now take 13 damage. So now missiles will once again not do as much damage to the ships until the shields are down. Whee! Just fire a couple missiles. Oh, they're missing. All right, there you have it. All right, so today's bug had to do with the shields and the missiles. We introduced a absorption factor into our XMLs where designers could determine how much of the shield or how much of the damage the shield will absorb. You know, and when a laser bolt hits something versus a explosion happening, the absorption should be different. And we were treating them as the same thing. So physical damage, which would result from explosions, would be treated the same as projectiles. And in this case, the XML, it only absorbed 50% of the damage. So when the missile hit the scythe, it was doing 200 damage, but it was only able to absorb 100, even though the shield could theoretically absorb 187 because that's its health. So I introduced a factor for splash damage, so that way designers could treat splash or explosive damage different from impact damage. And with that, designers can now do, splash damage will get absorbed 100% by the shields, and then impact damage get absorbed by 50%. So now when a missile hits, it will explode and the shield will absorb everything. And if a laser bolt hits, it will absorb maybe 50% depending upon the shield type. So designers can go crazy and make different, shields do whatever the heck they want to do. Maybe there's a shield now where it'll take 100% of the impact damage, but 0% of the splash. I don't know, designers are crazy, but they can do whatever they want. I am rambling, so I will let you guys go, and until next time.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. I'm glad to see you're back after your being overwhelmed by bugs in that one episode.
Mark is one of those people who comes in very early.
Yeah, no, he has a long commute, which I think he comes in at like 5.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. He gets a lot of crossover with the UK.
Oh, yeah.
They love him because he's always available.
Now it's over to Will for MVP.
Hey everybody, I'm lead moderator Will here to bring you this week's MVP. This week's MVP was actually chosen by you, the community, because when we came back from break, I had multiple PMs from you guys pointing this guy out. So this week's MVP goes to Bayor of Red, who hosted matches for a solid week where people could join and fight, but didn't use missiles. That's pretty awesome. A lot of people had a ton of fun, and we here at CIG love seeing stuff like this. So thank you very much, Bayor. You're this week's MVP.
Thanks, Will.
Now let's stop by a very busy CS for an update.
Hi and welcome to customer service. My name's Chelsea. Alexis is out of the office enjoying her holiday and will be back by the end of the week. We'd like to wish everyone a happy new year and thank you for bearing with us. We've received around 5,000 tickets over the break, so we really appreciate your patience and we're working through them as quickly as we can. That's it for this week. We will see you next time.
Thank you, Chelsea. Poor Chelsea. When's Alexis coming back?
I think
Tomorrow.
she was on that French toastless flight with Ben.
Oh,
yeah.
she's on the French toast flight. Okay, well, we will have help for you soon, Chelsea.
Yep.
Okay, what's next?
Now we go over to James with an interview with our junior technical designer, Patrick Salerno.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Patrick Salerno. Patrick, how you doing?
Hey, good, thanks.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thank you very much.
You're our first guest since our break. Are you excited?
Oh, so excited.
it's a huge honor.
I believe it.
So how was your break before we get into it?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I just actually, as a break, I just stayed home and literally did absolutely nothing and enjoyed every minute of it.
Sounds awesome.
It was. We were working pretty hard before the end, so it was nice to just take a reprieve and relax and actually play some video games instead of just making them.
You were one of the few guys that was there with me that last week before Christmas.
Yes, indeed.
It got down to what, 5 of us?
Yeah, roughly about 5 of us, I think. The last resort crew there, making sure everything went smoothly. So.
Well, big ups to them.
Yeah.
You want to get into some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. First question comes from Starry Night. How interchangeable will ship parts be? I imagine upgrades will be a balancing act between power, handling, and heat dissipation.
Yeah, I'd say to some extent that those are kind of two divergent things from the size of assets, and then those correlate to the different design aspects that go into it. I really don't deal too much personally with how things are balanced per se, as much as just giving my feedback for how they feel, how they should look. Mainly what I've been doing is helping standardize the actual size of weapons and stuff from concept to the engine. So, size 1, size 2, size 3 missile or weapon or power plant or something should fit within a certain designated space to make it so things sort of snap together and click as easy as possible. So I'm not sure the specifics of what will be interchanged with what, but we are working way to make sure that as many things are interchangeable as possible.
Well, what type of variables does that bring into the equation?
Well, it gives us a lot of leeway too, because from a design standpoint, we have the different classes and tiers of things, and then that ties into the weapons, and it's more of like a modular system. So from a design standpoint, don't really want to go into too many details. No numbers are ever really final, so more conceptual, theoretical behind it. But size 1 would fit within a certain range, fit within a certain slot that we defined, and then as we work our way up, we're trying to keep a consistent look for all weapons and equipment within certain manufacturers, and we're really trying to standardize that stuff right now.
Okay, cool. Next question comes from Daz. When it comes to poly count, how much is too much? With assets like the Shubin mining base, can you let us know how you avoid bad frame rate or long load times as they warp into its location?
Well, without going into any particular details about specific assets, I can give the overall idea of how we develop sort of content within the CryEngine pipeline. The CryEngine 3 specifically is better for polygons. It eats polygons like nothing. So, for example, in Crysis 2, just the terrain was like 1 or 2 million polys. Since we're in space, we can take a lot of that poly count and stick it in our assets. Now, there's a lot of different optimization factors that we do take into account, but polygons, for the most part, I don't want to say the sky's the limit, but whatever gets the asset to look the best we can within the budget that we're going for is really the best thing. So, to give some numbers, a ship might be 1 million, 1.5 million polys or so, right? But, you're not necessarily always seeing that on the screen at any given time, because there's a couple things, 2 things, for example, which help optimize assets. You've got one, which is called occlusion culling, which stops you from seeing things through other things, so that makes so your a renderer isn't just eating everything for miles. Yeah. Like older games didn't actually have occlusion culling, and you'd see a lot of performance on really active maps. And then there's also what are called LODs, which are level of detail or level of display geometry. And what happens there is basically, say you're right up close to a model, and you're just like, oh man, look at the rivets, that's so awesome. Well, what happens is, if you back up, I love rivets. So anyway, you back up a little bit, and then the model, at say 50 meters out, arbitrary number, will pop to a lower poly model. So it goes from like 10,000 to 5,000 to 2,000 to basically nothing, as you can't see it, because it depends on how much space it's taken up on the screen, so on and so forth. So LODs are generated by hand. We're looking into better ways to do that because it's kind of a, it's a necessity to keep the performance up, but it's hard to, we got to go back and do some assets. As we come out with new assets, we're sort of developing more of an automated LOD pipeline so we can actually take artists off of just doing generic LODs and just put them back on to actually making new cool things.
So does that require you to make a bunch of different states for any given asset? Like a high poly state, a 75% poly state, 50 state?
That would be more the damage states, which would be a different thing, which I think we'll be leading up to at one point.
This is foreshadowing, bro.
Maybe.
Next question comes from Confused Monkey. Can we outline the plan for damage states on a really huge ship like the Bengal or the King ship? Just how many pieces of these ship will the servers and our PC be able to handle?
Once again, instead of talking about specific assets, it's better to give an idea of how it works to begin with so you can understand how it'll work throughout all the different ships, because the damage design is fairly consistent with kind of like a breaking point depending on the size of the ship. Each ship is unique, so when I've been doing the damage state designs, I've been working with the designers and the artists to come up with a way that we can quickly block out areas. So to summarize real quick, there's generally like 3 or 4 different damage states. There's the 25, 50, 75, and 100. Mainly 50, 75, and 100. 25% would be more like particle effects, like when you hit someone, gas starts coming out, whatever, electric sparks. 50% would be more like panels start getting ripped off, you start seeing, the underlying geometry of what's under like a wing if it was ripping that apart. 75% is where huge silhouette changing damage happens. So you hit like a wing and the wing snaps, and now, from afar you can tell that that dude's damaged because one of his wings is different because he took more damage there. 100% you're completely destroyed. The difference between the smaller ships and the bigger ships is with the bigger ships usually have interiors. So a smaller ship wouldn't need any interior damage because you wouldn't be able to walk around or anything. But say, for example, you have a bigger ship like a Cutlass or, even just say an Avenger, which isn't too big but still has an interior. We have another sort of substate at 75. So 75 itself, like I said, is silhouette changing damage, but like called 75.2 is more like it's what's called a breach damage, as we call it, where now you can blow a hole from the outside to the inside. Now we don't have it fully developed how it's going to work. We just know it's going to happen. You are going to be able to blow a hole through the outside and the inside. We kind of already have that with damage states for the Avenger and the Cutlass, I think, working on as well. So yeah, generally for bigger ships, you'll be able to blow holes from the outside to the inside. How we know specifically that's going to work in the future, not quite sure. Well, obviously, it would be cool if you shot ship and some dude's making a sandwich, you get sucked out into space, and you watch your friend disappear into the abyss. That'd be awesome. But
if he was
it's a work in progress.
If he was your friend, why would you shoot him into space?
No, someone else obviously shot the ship, and he got sucked down into space.
I'm glad
clarified that.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
Right.
Next question. Next question comes from Briglight. What has been the hardest part in development so far?
The hardest part in development so far has been bridging the gap between art and design. So coming in and talking to the engineers and designers, figuring out, say for example, with damage states, we'll use it as an example, how to take these parts that I've designed, say there's 150 broken pieces, and then figuring out, how to bring that attached to the skeleton, the proper way to put it in. So kind of the hard part for me, the hardest part has been integrating into the technical part of the workflow. So learning to design how to take these assets and bring them in and make them functional has been my biggest challenge, and it's pretty awesome because as an artist, seeing something awesome is great, but now seeing something awesome moving and doing something and working and seeing everyone playing with it is the best at the end. So finding the middle ground between implementation and creation is pretty fun.
Is there any good stories about where those ideas didn't really mix?
No, not really.
No?
No.
None that you want to share?
No, not really, yeah.
Now we have some rapid fire questions from Bear Squish. You prepared?
Ready.
Ginger or Marianne?
Marianne for sure.
I don't know what that is.
Gilligan's Island.
Oh, my bad. Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan or LeBron, huh? That's a hard question. I'll have to pick Quake 3 Arena because that's my sport of choice.
I'm going to have to go with LeBron just because he's around now. That's it. I'm a nowist.
Right.
X-Wing or TIE Fighter?
Enterprise.
X-Wing. SpongeBob or Patrick?
Patrick. Come on.
Patrick. Yeah, good call.
Thank you.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
It's been a blast. You're welcome back whenever.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and we appreciate your support. Your support, your support, and your support.
Well done.
All of your support, cameras.
All 3 camera supports. All right, back to you guys.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys. I just learned who Patrick Salerno is. It's getting a little like that in the office.
Yeah, well, actually, we have been, we're actually almost at capacity, where you keep doing like little seating charts and who's going to sit where, and we're having to get more and more clever. It's like human Tetris.
Did I tell you I denied one of our female staff of the bathroom key?
Oh,
She
really?
says, oh, can I have the bathroom key? I said, no, you can't. It's for staff. She says, yeah, I work with you. I was like, oh.
I realized I
She
took
just
one home over the
said
break.
that. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got
Oh.
in my car and I was driving. I had a men's room key. I was like, oops.
Nice. Are you ready for our art sneak peek?
Oh, yeah.
Take it away. Thanks everybody for watching. That's it for today's show. And thank you to all the subscribers for making this show possible. We will see you next week on Around the Verse.
Thank you, Will. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I'm just going to say that.
It sounded kind of girly.
Yeah, it really did.
Thanks, Will.
Will, you're fabulous.